Every time you open your medicine cabinet, you're looking at the legacy of families who engineered 3 separate addiction epidemics. Same playbook, different drug, 150 years apart. And they never went to jail. In 1898, a German company launched a miracle cough medicine for children. They called it Heroic. You know it as heroin. In 1996, an American company launched a miracle painkiller. They called it non-addictive. You know it as OxyContin. 500,000 Americans are dead. The families who sold both drugs are billionaires, and this is the 3rd time they've done this. If you think this is just about the Sacklers, you're missing 150 years of pharmaceutical dynasties perfecting the monetization of addiction. Picture this. It's 1898. Your child has a cough that won't stop. You walk into the pharmacy and the chemist recommends a new product from Bayer, one of Germany's most trusted names. It's called Heroin, and the label promises it's safe for children. The advertisements were everywhere. Magazine spreads showing smiling mothers giving heroin syrup to infants as young as 6 months. The marketing pitch? Non-addictive morphine substitute. Sedates coughs without drowsiness. Recommended by physicians worldwide. Within 5 years, Bayer was shipping heroin to 23 countries. By 1899, they were producing 1 ton of heroin per year. 1 ton. But here's what Bayer didn't advertise. Internal company memos, discovered decades later, showed their chemists knew heroin was more addictive than morphine. They knew, and they marketed it to children anyway. By 1910, emergency rooms across America and Europe were flooded with heroin-addicted children. Families were destroyed. Thousands died. And Bayer? They rebranded, changed focus to aspirin, never faced criminal charges. The family kept their fortune. Pause for a second. Have you ever taken a prescription painkiller? Drop yes or no in the comments. I want to see how many of you have personally interacted with this industry. And if you already knew about Bayer selling heroin, drop knew it. I'm betting 95% of you had no idea. While Bayer was rebranding, another pharmaceutical dynasty was just getting started. The Merck family, yes, that Merck, had discovered something incredible: cocaine. And they were going to sell it as medicine. By 1885, Merck was the world's largest cocaine manufacturer, and their marketing was genius. Cocaine wasn't a drug, it was a tonic, a nerve stimulant, a cure for depression, fatigue, even alcoholism. Cure addiction with addiction. Brilliant. Coca-Cola originally contained cocaine, 9 milligrams per glass, thanks to Merck's supply chain. Pharmacies sold cocaine toothache drops for children. For children. By 1910, cocaine addiction was so widespread that emergency rooms had a term for it: cocaine bugs, hallucinations where addicts felt insects crawling under their skin and would scratch themselves bloody. One documented case from medical archives, Margaret Flannery, 34, from Philadelphia, started with Merck's cocaine toothache drops for her son's teething pain. Within months, she was using cocaine daily herself. Her physician's notes, preserved in Pennsylvania medical records, document her descent. Patient exhibits severe agitation, insomnia, paranoid delusions. Dead within 2 years from cardiac arrest. And just like Bayer, Merck had internal research showing cocaine was dangerously addictive. Archived letters, discovered in Merck's corporate records in 2004, show internal warnings dating back to 1895. One memo from a company chemist reads, "Prolonged use induces severe dependency. Marketing claims of safety are optimistic." They knew, just like Bayer. By the 1920s, cocaine addiction was epidemic. The U.S. government finally banned it in 1922. When Congress held hearings, Merck executives testified under oath they had no knowledge of addiction risks. But those archived letters prove they lied. Under oath, to Congress. Their punishment? $5,000 in fines, about $80,000 today. Merck had made tens of millions. They paid the fine, pivoted to other pharmaceuticals, and kept operating. No executives went to prison. The family fortune remained intact. And today, Merck is one of the 10 largest pharmaceutical companies on Earth. So let's recap. 1898, Bayer sells heroin to children. Thousands die. $5,000 fine, no prison. 1922, Merck sells cocaine as medicine. Thousands die. $5,000 fine, no prison. Twice. A coincidence? Let me show you 1996. Meet the Sackler family, owners of Purdue Pharma. In 1996, they launched OxyContin, a revolutionary painkiller. Their pitch to doctors? Less than 1% risk of addiction, safe for long-term use, recommended for moderate pain. Sound familiar? Here's the disturbing part. Leaked internal documents from Purdue Pharma show executives using the exact same phrases Bayer used in 1898. Word. For. Word. Non-addictive alternative to existing painkillers. Suitable for routine prescribing. They didn't just repeat the strategy, they studied it. Between 1996 and 2020, doctors wrote over 250 million OxyContin prescriptions. Purdue Pharma made $35 billion in revenue. And the death toll? 500,000 Americans. Dead. That's more than World War I, World War II, and Vietnam combined. But here's where it gets darker. In 2007, 11 years into the epidemic, Purdue executives pleaded guilty to misleading doctors about OxyContin's addiction risk. Their punishment? $600 million fine. No prison time. Purdue made $35 billion. They paid $600 million. That's a 98% profit margin on mass death. By 2019, the crisis was undeniable. Purdue declared bankruptcy, and here's the genius move. Through bankruptcy proceedings, the Sackler family negotiated immunity from future lawsuits. In exchange, they gave up their company and kept $10 billion. Justice. Let's make this real for a second. Eddie Bish, 18 years old, high school wrestler from Philadelphia, knee injury during a match. His doctor prescribed OxyContin, 40 milligrams twice daily. His father, Ed Bish, later testified before Congress. His words, "Within 3 months, my son wasn't my son anymore. He was chasing pills. He'd steal from us, lie to us. The drug took everything." Eddie died of an overdose at 18. Ed Bish became an activist. He confronted Purdue executives at shareholder meetings. He demanded answers. He built a website documenting every OxyContin death he could verify. Thousands of faces, thousands of families destroyed. And when the Sacklers declared bankruptcy, keeping $10 billion, Ed stood outside the courthouse with a sign that read, "My son's life was worth more than your art collection." Ed Bish is still alive, still fighting, still waiting for justice. These aren't isolated cases. This is the system working as designed. Because here's the secret. Addiction isn't a side effect. It's the business model. A patient who takes a painkiller for 2 weeks and stops, that's $200 in revenue. A patient who becomes addicted and needs refills for 10 years, that's $50,000. The math is brutal. And the families running these companies have always known it. Now, some will say, but people need painkillers. Cancer patients, surgery patients, are we supposed to let them suffer? Fair question. And the answer is, legitimate pain management existed before OxyContin. It still exists. Morphine, used responsibly in hospital settings, works. Palliative care works. The issue isn't pain relief, it's the lie. Purdue didn't say, "This is powerful and risky. Use with extreme caution in controlled settings." They said, "Less than 1% addiction risk. Safe for routine prescribing. Give it to everyone." That's the crime. Not making the drug, but lying about it to sell more. Now here's what makes me uneasy. The pattern is repeating. Ketamine clinics are opening in every major city. Psilocybin startups are going public. MDMA is in phase 3 FDA trials for PTSD treatment. I'm not saying these treatments don't work. The science might be legitimate. Early research on psilocybin from Johns Hopkins shows promise. Ketamine has helped some people with treatment-resistant depression. But here's what concerns me. When I look at the marketing language, it's starting to sound familiar. Non-addictive alternative to traditional antidepressants. Safe for long-term use. Recommended by leading psychiatrists. Where have we heard this before? And when I see the same venture capital firms that profited from OxyContin now investing in psychedelic startups, when I see former Purdue sales representatives now working for ketamine clinic chains, history says we should be asking hard questions before the body count starts. Maybe this time is different. Maybe the safeguards are better. Maybe the science is sound. But we said that about OxyContin in 1996. And before that, we said it about cocaine in 1900. And before that, about heroin in 1898. The pattern is clear. Step 1, find a psychoactive substance. Step 2, get regulatory approval by downplaying risks. Step 3, market aggressively before long-term data exists. Step 4, profit massively. Step 5, when consequences emerge, pay fines, keep billions, rebrand. Step 6, repeat. We're on step 3 right now, with multiple substances. And this time, the FDA approval process is faster than ever. I hope I'm wrong, but the families who sold heroin to children in 1898 hoped we'd forget too. Remember that medicine cabinet from the beginning? Open it now. Look at the labels. Bayer still exists, $50 billion in annual revenue. Merck still exists, $60 billion. The Sackler fortune still exists, scattered across art museums and universities with their name in gold letters. The companies change their names. The drugs evolve. The marketing gets more sophisticated, but the strategy? 150 years, unchanged. 3 generations poisoned, 3 families enriched, 0 executives in prison. So the question isn't if this will happen again. The question is, will we recognize the pattern this time before another 500,000 people die? Next time a doctor hands you a prescription for a breakthrough medication with minimal side effects, ask one question. Who profits if I can't stop taking this? Same poison, different bottle, same profit. If this changed how you see pharmaceutical companies, hit subscribe. I've got more stories about the industries that profit from your pain. Drop in the comments, Bayer sold what? I guarantee most people watching have no idea about the heroin story. And if you made it this far, you're in the 5% who actually care about where your medicine comes from. Stay skeptical, stay informed. Thanks for watching.